Welcome everybody to Marconomics 101 presents Whoote Loot, the place you come to be informed, be amused, but never be misled, hopefully never muffled. But I actually kind of enjoy wearing this mask now because it has the message to exactly how to get rid of the masks. The masks are the fault of the incumbents, and that's all there is to it. So as long as they're making us wear masks, why don't we tell them what we think of them and vote them the hell out of office in 2022? No incumbent should be in office that had anything to do with supporting this piece of absolute uselessness, other than it's pretty. And the reason it's pretty is because it has the Whoote Loot logo, and that's what makes it kind of cool. So if you have to wear one, you might as well wear one that is really cool and tells people exactly how much you appreciate the fact that you get these stuff down your throat, even though they do not a damn bit of good, and we all know that, pretty much, no matter how much cable news tells us that. Oh God, I can't even say cable news without even getting a headache. But anyway, I'm on the, this is American Revolution 2.0. Okay, why am I calling it that? Because we need a whole set change. Okay, vote out the incumbents is the whole set change. Once we get rid of these criminals, we're going to start to have people who will occupy the offices, actually provide a service to the U.S. citizens, which is what they were designed to do. The founding fathers were farmers. They were publishers. They, were city leaders, civic leaders, that type of thing. They really were not professionally there to boss you around and take away all your rights. Take away someone's rights, and you immediately leave them less prosperous than before. I'll give you an example, okay? Remember the war on terror? Remember the war on drugs? Remember the war on poverty? We're 0 for 3. So why don't we declare a war on prosperity so we have infinite wealth? That would be the right way to do it. This government's way of doing it. The bunch of people that won't get out there, they must have put super glue on the bottom of their shoes so they can't be pried loose. In any event, welcome to the show today. We're a little bit nasty about the government today, because the government is getting stupider by the day, if that were actually possible. For one thing. Okay, well, first let's go ahead and start the charts in a minute, and I'll start talking about it. But if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe right down here, we would love to see you back. We're going to give you information that no one else will ever give you, and I'm giving it to you at the risk of my own life. Well, maybe not the risk of my own life. I trip a lot, so I guess that's a risk if I get up. I have to go to the bathroom. Anyway, so we will be back with the charts in just a minute, and boy, are you going to learn some amazing things. All right, well, in case you have the same attention span as a professional politician, a word that shouldn't exist, I want to show you exactly your instructions for 2022 at the ballot box, right there. Vote out the incumbents. The 22-year incumbents like Nancy Pelosi that developed $100 million fortune by being a politician, okay? Politics was not designed to make you rich, but boy, have people found the way to do it. And they don't do it exactly the clean way now, do they? Bitcoin. Let's start with Bitcoin. I thought last week I was going to actually kind of start, winnowing it down, but it jumped this week. And it jumped this week. I'm not sure what the reason for the jump was exactly, but it jumped up all the way to the resistance line. And then Amazon said, we're not taking Bitcoin. And China said, we're getting the hell out of Bitcoin. China has had a $5.7 billion recent scam with Bitcoin and the QR codes we've been showing you, the QR codes that are capable of taking money from you. Now, you may not know that, and you may not have ever seen it or understand the science, and let me tell you, it takes a lot of learning to figure out how the hell they did that, but there are a lot of people without a lot of money. The 5.7 billion that was a scheme was a Chinese cryptocurrency. So they developed the skill. So isn't that interesting? And on the last show, I showed you some of the lovely ladies that just can't wait to get me up to their WhatsApp room and show me their dinosaur collection or whatever the hell they want. Anyway, Bitcoin, you know, a lot of supporters of it have been saying that, you know, it's now being more adopted and it's being used more. You still can't use Bitcoin for anything. It's a bunch of letters. You don't even know what's in there. You know, as a matter of fact, you know, they actually, the way that they generate QR codes is called a QR generator, and they change every so often. I've showed you that. And when that happens, you can't trace it back. So you can't figure out who took your Bitcoin. You wouldn't want one anyway, especially when you have something as cool as a Hoot coin. And I don't know where my Hoot coin is, but I'll bet somebody's probably flipping it around. Oh, here it is, right here. Here's a Hoot coin. And I'm going to tell you, this is a work of art. This has intrinsic value, and this can be yours for a song. Well, maybe a little more than a song. The song costs, well, a few bucks. But I'll tell you one thing we are having. If you're as mad as me, if you're as mad as all of us about being shoved, have these masks shoved down our throats, whether we're vaccinated or not, the vaccination which doesn't work, even though we have to have it, but it doesn't work. Now you have to get 3 jabs from Pfizer, and you have to get boosters every 6 months from Pfizer. $33 billion of revenue last year by Pfizer alone. $3 billion they have as a capacity for the injected vaccines. Okay, $3 billion. Our population of the world is 7, and that's one of 100 or so companies that make them. What the hell is in there? Okay, I'll tell you what, if, let's say, well, not Joe Biden, he doesn't have a lot to live for. I'm sorry to say, you don't have that much time left. But let's say a nice, young, handsome man like myself. Well, we can't use me, but let's say a man that's almost good looking, kind of, you can look at him. Gavin Newsom, he's an idiot, but you can still look at him. Now, if he took an injection from the same pot that I did, then I'd be okay, because he'd never kill himself. He'd rather see you dead and your money in his pocket. Anyway, we're going to go past Bitcoin here. I am going to rag on politicians today, because I'll tell you one thing. There is no one on this planet that could spend $70,000 a year, earn $31,000 a year, and be solvent for 200 years. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And it just shows you that we live in a fantasy world of suspended disbelief, like professional wrestling. At least professional wrestling is real. I mean, you know they're taking bumps off those top ropes. Politicians just slap themselves on the back, have a beer, and that's about it. So let's go on to the next one. Tesla is another kind of one of those smelly guy type companies. Bitcoin doesn't really have anybody, so there's no real smelly guy. There's the whole smelly population that is ripping everybody off. But in the case of Tesla, it actually broke up. And that's kind of interesting, because it tells me that there's a good chance here that Tesla might fuel a little bit further of a rally. There are charts everywhere, okay? This particular set of where we are of reality is so unreality, it's not even, you know, it's like the Twilight Zone or the Outer Limits. If you're a kid, like I was, watch those shows. I won't tell you my age, but, you know, I did cross 30 maybe a couple of years ago. But they used to have these shows that were like really, really weird. And that's like what we're living in. We're living in like the Twilight Zone. So Tesla's going up, and Tesla once again had a great earnings report of God knows what. You know, Tesla is a waste to even look at it, because earnings reports are fiction. They're basically fiction. And in Tesla's case, you know they are, because their CFOs leave every year or twice a year. I don't want the liability for saying that this happened. That's pretty much what they have to say. So do the lawyers, and they all go. And they go to protect themselves, even though there's a lot of money. There's still a few honest people that don't want that money and end up in jail. doesn't do you much good in jail. All right, so let's go to the regular ones. The Dow Jones, it's in a flat pattern, a sideways bull flag, and most of the major indexes and a lot of companies are in these kind of flags. Some are plunging, some are skyrocketing. You've got stuff that's going straight up, straight down. You've got it going sideways like this. It is just, you can't make heads or tails of this thing other than one thing. The one thing I can tell you without any doubt is scamming is the largest growing industry there is, and QR codes, which look so innocent, they're used by 50% of the transactions in China, and they don't cause too many problems. You don't hear that many stories, but people don't want to tell. I know two people who have had money lost to whoever their professional trader was that never lost money, okay? And they just don't want to talk about it. And so it's not being reported. It's kind of one of those crimes of such embarrassment that you'd rather not report the crime and just pretend it never happened. But it's happening in huge amounts. It's on Instagram. It is on dating sites. Several dating sites I've now seen it on. In addition to the Facebook one, it's Instagram. It's, oh God, WhatsApp, of course. WhatsApp is everything. You know, everybody, why don't you use WhatsApp? Because I can use a phone, you idiot. That's what I basically tell them. Can't you use a phone? You live in Los Angeles. At least your profile says you do. You should be able to pick up the phone and call. Oh, yeah, I guess I can. Either that or they hang up or they just don't want to talk to you anymore. The NASDAQ 100 continues to be unbelievable. Low interest rates are driving it up. These companies, okay, we're turning into a corporate plutocracy. Okay, what that means is that the big companies and the government forge an alliance, and that's why I'm calling this American Revolution 2, because it's us. It's we the people. That's how the Constitution starts. We the people! Not you the hogs, not you the pigs, not you the cheaters and the people that force people to do things, lock them up for crimes they didn't commit. We the people. There are more of us than there are of you. Trust me, and you will know it at some point very soon. And by the way, come get me! All right. I'm sorry. I'm a little hot under the collar today. I don't know why. Maybe it's because hundreds of billions of dollars are being stolen from people who are innocent, and it's being done on a state-sponsored level. The reason I say that is because the script is the same. They say the same script. It's very nice to meet you. Do you have WhatsApp? Second word comes out of their mouth. What I usually say is, they'll go hello, and they'll say, no, I don't have WhatsApp, and I'll never hear from them again. The screen will go blank. They'll basically take their profile off. That's when I'm not insulting them and telling them, let's get a bottle of tequila and hook up tonight, honey. I'm feeling good. The S&P small caps have also been in a sideways motion. They had started to look pretty bad. Now, one of the things about the small caps is a lot of them are biotech. So this actually is exaggerating the strength in small caps because, a lot of these little companies that make, well, I don't want to use the word, I hate the word vaccine, but, certain things that plunger is used to, take them out. So the small caps are still looking pretty good. So again, the market doesn't look like it's right about to fall, but man, it sure does look like that cliff is close. Dow Jones Transportation is still in a bull flag, heading down a little bit, doing pretty well. But you're going to see a couple of interesting charts here because the transportation companies are really dominated by FedEx and UPS. And guess what? Guess what? I'll show you when the chart comes up. It is an unbelievable chart of what you're going to see because they have pulled a 180 like I haven't seen before in my life. And not a good one, let me tell you that. All right, the US dollar actually starting to break down. It's really hard to maintain a high dollar when you're printing them all the time. I mean, you give stuff away, that means it's free. Okay, and that's kind of what they're doing. The CRB index of commodities still making a new high. This is the best indicator of, possibly future inflation still. although there's another one I'll show you in a minute. And this pretty much takes all the commodities, combines them: food, metals, energy, etc., etc. Crude oil is kind of stopped. It's a little bit of a, what I would call a, sort of a bull flag or a sideways flag holding pattern. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but it's already at 75 bucks. It's higher than it's been in a long time. So even if it goes down a little bit, it's still adding. It's still adding to the price pressure. It's so funny. Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, said, well, once it stops going up, it stops adding to the price pressure. Well, GJ, that's true, but people don't. He said that about used cars. Used cars in 1 month went up 27%. Now, who buys a used car every month? Seriously. So of course it's going to not. Of course it's going to come down to a lower amount, because it's a tiny component. How much of your budget goes to used cars? Okay, and that's what he blamed for that big increase in inflation last month. I mean, my God. And people listen to it, gobble it up. Wow, used cars. Maybe we should flip some. Buy high and sell higher, because that's the way you make money these days. Unbelievable. Natural gas. This is the one that's going to take off. There's problems with Russia getting natural gas to Europe. They have pipelines, and that is one of the reasons this is breaking out. We are very warlike sort of a tension. Now, I'm going to call it not American Revolution 2. That's a title. But what's really happening, if I were to describe the way I see it, my opinion only, is that we have two wars going on simultaneously. One I call the Cold Civil War. That is the war between the races, where they kind of just give each other an, I don't like you because you're a different color than me. Well, gee, thanks to the media for that. I don't have any problem with my friends that are black, I can tell you that, or Hispanic, or Asian, or anything. I really don't. I don't care. I went to a school where the religion was 99% different than mine. Didn't bother me one bit. But when the media starts telling you how awful a certain group is, and you're so stupid as to watch them, then all of a sudden we get this thing called racism. So racism is basically a creation of the media. I mean, they want us fighting each other. So that's what I call the Cold Civil War. It's a Cold War because it's a war of animosity, but it's not a violent war. War number 2 is going to be called someday, I believe, the intellectual war. This is the war of ideas. We are fighting that war right now. I want to give you as much knowledge, information that's truthful, so that you will not be fooled by stupid, absurd statements that are made by professional politicians to get themselves reelected, or by corporate executives. They need protection, from cheaper imports and all that kind of stuff. Nah. If you can't make the product at a competitive price, then don't make the product. Import it, or learn to make it better. But don't give me this, we need tariffs and we need all this kind of stuff, to protect ourselves, or we need quotas. They tried that in the 70s. It didn't work. It will never, ever work. Economics is a behavioral science that, boy, we should insist that every politician, non-professional politician, take it before serving office, because they know nothing about it, or they would yank back every one of those unemployment benefit checks, and they wonder, why aren't people working? And how are we supposed to have a 6% growth in GDP when no one wants to work? You tell me, okay? See, GDP can only grow for 2 reasons. The labor hours grow, so more hours are put into making things, or your population, your productivity goes up. Our productivity goes up about 1% a year. Our population goes up not at all practically at this point. Neither does China. We are stagnant economies that basically the numbers have been fudged, just as they have with inflation. It's just an unbelievable fairy tale of what we're seeing. This might as well be a movie. And as long as it's a movie, I must say, I would make a handsome leading man, don't you think? I mean, if I were a woman, I'd be all over. But, hell with it. Anyway, Natural gas booming up, and that has to do with Russian, Russian European stuff. Unleaded gas going up. Thank you. Uh, uh, an increase in the tax in California. Uh, just lovely, just so timely, you know, just so timely. Let's squeeze every penny we can out of these people. That's our job as politicians. They want to pay us taxes because we do such a good job. We do such a good job. We manage to print 3.6 trillion a year because we can't raise it in revenue because we have squashed jobs. Now, how hard is that to figure out? Apparently very hard if you're in Washington, D.C. and you're breathing your own exhales from those stupid masks they force themselves to wear in the halls of Congress. So the agricultural fund is broken out. We've been telling you that food prices are going up, and they are going up. There's nothing stopping that. There's going to be definitely some food inflation, and it is the one thing that, in my personal opinion, can cause some kind of civil unrest, and that is going to possibly lead to an element of violence and or conflict that a defunded police department might not be able to handle quite as well. Isn't that interesting? They thought to defund the police department just before needing one. Oh, wow. Pretty good for the government, though. I got to admit, they're pretty stupid otherwise. Livestock, basically rounded top. I'm not sure if this is lower demand or just the fact that, everybody's such a germaphobe. And even Ace is a germaphobe. He's coming over here to meet it. No, get away from me, Ace. Here, wear this mask. Here, wear the mask. Mask. Okay, good. Jeez. What does he want to do? Give me the dog Delta Virin or something? Okay, so then we've got sugar. Sugar. Sugar's going up like crazy, and it's in so many things, and it is why we are so fat, except for me, of course, because if I were a woman, I'd be all over me. But basically, sugar is in just about everything. You can't find things without sugar in them, other than maybe an umbrella in front of me. That doesn't have sugar in it. So now we're going to go to the base metals fund, and you'll notice again that building materials are just going through the roof. No stopping them. This is Alcoa aluminum now breaking out, looking like it's going to make a new high. And copper miners, these look like still kind of like a head and right shoulder, except it looked like it bounced off support and is starting to rise again. And we'll see. I think copper is going to stay strong as long as they continue the same policy they're doing. And I love the line of Jay Powell. As long as we have inflation to fight, we'll keep printing dollars. He literally said something like that. So printing dollars, which causes inflation, is actually going to tame inflation. Jay, go back to sixth grade with Jethro D. Bodine of the Beverly Hillbillies, okay? He done graduated sixth grade from Oxford and Bug Tussle, Tennessee. I bet he knows more about that than you. Or ask Janet Yellen, at least, and ask her not to yell about it. Boy, what a loud voice. All right, palladium coming down. This is not the same palladium that, I don't know, that guy used to play here out in Hollywood, but in any event, palladium has started to come down, and that is a sign that they have, electric vehicle demand is starting to exhaust itself. And we're going to show you some other signs of that too. This is gold, and gold is in a really just unbelievable pattern. It rallied to the 50% point after declining for a year. It then drops like a rock. Even though inflation is up, it still drops, and then all of a sudden it kind of starts to, form. It looks like it's forming a bear flag. I'm very not excited about gold right now. I'd love to be. I'd love to be excited about gold and silver, but I'm not. Silver also, look at that. It's just kind of stair-stepping its way down, below support at about $22. I don't understand this either. I really don't. Either a ton of force is being applied to this to go down, or there's just something out there that is not understandable. The demand is down. There's a replacement for it. Who knows? I just don't know. I haven't seen anything like that. So, I'm just going to let this go for now and not form an opinion, because whatever opinion I form is just going to be, a guess. That's all there is to it. Sometimes when it comes to a market, you cannot adopt a worldview. I adopted one with silver and gold, and I lost some money on it because I was sure they were going to go up, and as soon as they broke out, they came right back down. So you always have to be very careful about forming a worldview. That new information needs to be absorbed. A lot of people that trade, a certain type of trader, they just believe one thing: Bitcoin will go up, Bitcoin will go up, Bitcoin will go up. They don't understand that there could be new information that could come to fore that would make that thesis completely invaluable. Not invaluable, but impossible. And one piece of information that they usually don't know is that Bitcoin is just a password, and it doesn't exist. And people have confidence in it somehow to accept it. But I'm going to show you in a little bit something about it. And as a matter of fact, if you excuse me for a second, I just want to go to some of my notes here, because I was writing some stuff down before, and we were it was just so much information. It was unbelievable. But let's see. So, all right. So gold and silver and Treasury inflation protected securities. I consider this the best indicator. I don't think the Fed is involved in this at all, and it's going straight up like a rocket. And this right here tells you that the market anticipates much higher inflation, not transitory inflation, much higher inflation. The only thing that's transitory that it relates to Jay Powell is probably his job. He is out. If he continues to act like such a bumblehead, this guy's out of here like grease lightning next time the term is up for the Fed chairman, and I believe that's at the end of this year. 5-year yields continue to come down. This just looks like a depression. I mean, I don't get it. 5-year yields down, okay? And then we've got 10-year yields down. And again, looking like, 10-year yields down to 1.1%? Jeez, 1.1%, and someone buys these bonds? Oh, that's right. We've talked about this before. It's the U.S. government. They're the only people that have a low enough IQ to not understand a 1.1% interest rate. You lose about 9% when inflation's running at 10. They somehow forgot economics, and they forgot arithmetic. So maybe we ought to spend a little money and kind of help them out so they can understand these things. Or I'd be happy to take a trip to Washington and explain it to them. But, I have to wear that mask. I'm not going to wear one of their stupid masks. 30 years are just dive bombing. I literally am blown away that this thing has gone all the way down to about 1.6%. 1.6% for this is so rare in history to have a yield this low. And it makes me wonder whether, because bond yields have been coming down for 38 years, we've had 10 years of zero rates. I wonder if people just think that's where they're supposed to be, because they've never seen anything different. I've seen 20, I've seen 5, I've seen 0. I've never seen negative here except for 1 second. Now Europe's all negative. At one point, the entire Swiss 50-year maturity curve, you could buy a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, all the way up to a 50-year bond, and they all yielded negative. Who the hell would do that? Only the United States would do something that stupid, and they're already doing stupid things. So you buy bonds yielding 1.1, and then you buy bonds yielding minus 0.5. Very, very good money management by the U.S. that puts these incredible securities away for us in Social Security, so we feel so safe that our retirements are going to be really good. And I was looking at the budget the other day between Medicare, which goes up at the cost of inflation, the Social Security, which does. We have an almost $800 billion defense budget, and we pay $400 billion interest on outstanding interest. What's interesting about that is that That's with rates so low. Imagine if rates were 4%, we'd be paying like $2 billion in interest rates. We'd have like a $5 trillion budget deficit. That's another reason why this is like a do or die situation. Not just to keep people rich, they're trying everything they can. They're putting their little fingers in the dam like this, and the water goes squirting this way and squirting that way. They can't keep this dam up forever. They could say dam all they want, but not going to work. Bitcoin Cash, I put this here just, I wasn't going to really cover this. This right now is just going to go to sleep for a while. It did look like it broke out, but, notice the volume. If you notice the volume at the bottom, there's none. I mean, there's no volume. This was short covering at best. And so there's really no desire for these things because they don't do anything. I mean, you just can't do much. Ethereum apparently does things. I'm not an expert, so I won't comment on its value. And I've said many times it is not Bitcoin. It is not like Bitcoin, and I have no reason to believe that it is involved in criminal activities of any kind. It has a real management team, and it really supposedly has a utility. I don't really care because so far credit cards, a few quarters here and there, and all those $1,000 bills I carry around, pretty much get me by. Okay, so this is Litecoin. This is the worst of the worst. I mean, this thing is I think this thing's gonna go to zero at some point. It doesn't do anything. What does a bunch of letters do for you? Especially if you lose them, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Unbelievable. Overstock.com. Now check this out. Overstock.com was the first company that in 2013 said that they would take Bitcoin as a form of payment. And to date, less than 1% has been used to buy something at Overstock.com. And now that China has declared war on Bitcoin, which it has, they won't mine it anymore. They won't, it's polluted the hell out of the place. But, being capitalists, they were mining it like crazy. Now it's being used for illegal transactions there, and they're starting to catch more of them, and they are on the warpath. You pretty much, they're gonna, turn the key and lock you for life if you, you get into a bad Bitcoin transaction. I can tell you that right now. Apple, new high. I don't know why. It's like a country, but boy, does this thing crank out numbers. This thing's worth now $2.5 trillion. One of the reasons why the market just continues to go up. Same with Amazon. First it broke up, then it broke down. See, this is what makes it so hard. I don't want to make a decision, make a recommendation when the very next day, the exact opposite of what I expected happens. That's the market. And when you have a market like this that is being pushed and pulled by external forces that do not consider economics or value, you're going to have this. Because they don't care what the price is or whether it's worth it or not. They just want an outcome. And that's the way government works. Government is not about equal opportunity. That's what it should be about, but it's not. It's about they want a specific outcome. And if they don't get the outcome they want, what they're going to do is they're going to change the rules. They're going to restrict certain behavior until they finally get the outcome they want, which is for everybody to be poor and for them to be rich and live off of us and tax the hell out of us. Facebook, my favorite company. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg, if only you were here. Oh, we could have such a lovely talk. Mark Zuckerberg is probably one of the most heinous individuals of all time, from what I can tell. I mean, not only does he own WhatsApp, which has that horrible stealing QR code, which no one knows what those are yet. Very few people. I couldn't find anything in the literature on it, or barely anything, but I can show it to you, and I have shown it to you in prior episodes. Check it out, and I'll show it to you in future episodes because we're still studying it, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, figure it out completely. Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, also put those COVID things. You didn't properly describe the risk of COVID. So he was working with good old Dr. Fauci, who gets money from everything he sells. Even this probably, but I hope not. If he is, then we'll take it away from him somehow. But in any event, he gets it from jabs, he gets it from masks, he gets it from everywhere. And lo and behold, Wuhan Labs is where he's from. And no one seems to be as outraged as they should be. This guy ought to be basically carried on a stretcher down the middle of a street with a bunch of people with pitchforks and burning torches and following the guy, and not to mention that, get Jason into commission and Freddy Krueger and torture the guy's guts out, because he's done that to us for 2 years. NVIDIA, great company. Won't say anything bad about it. It streaked up, came back down. I still think it's still think it's basically state of the art. American Airlines, people are not flying anymore. They started to. There was a lot of traffic in the very beginning, pent-up demand. Now, not so much, and it's starting to taper off. Plus, this is reflecting something that's coming, the Delta variant. Even Delta Airlines will have the Delta variant, and they're going to restrict flying, I guarantee it. Right now, they're already talking like it's about to happen. So, you all get used to it. You get conditioned to believe certain things are normal, like wearing masks, and then it's normal. Doesn't everyone wear a mask? Sure. FedEx is, look at that. It broke down. This is one of the largest transport of goods companies and logistics, and it just broke down. And this is a terrible sign for the economy. If these guys aren't carrying goods around, then there aren't being goods bought. So, we've seen some others like that too. UPS, look at that. It had a big break up and then a big break down in the last couple days. That's not good. UPS is now telling you that all of a sudden the economy's gone flat. We'll see. Maybe it bounces up again the next day. But I don't like the way this looks one bit. The bank index in a rounded top, it's still flat. We don't know which way it's going to go. But with these kind of interest rates, there's really nothing that's going to make a bank do very well. Broker-dealer index, same thing. Although I got to say, I can't wait till they bring out SpaceX. Apparently, Jeff Bezos, who is the former CEO of Amazon, he has something called Blue Origin. Okay, it's another one of those. It's another one of those kiddie toy rocket ships that Elon Musk loves to play with and blow up on the platform. So now you have two guys competing to get into space. Okay, whereas the U.S. government had a 60-year head start. Now, technology does not go backwards. Have you ever seen a car turn into a horse and buggy? Have you ever seen a light, suddenly electric lights turn into just candles or something like that, or a fireplace because there was nothing else? Have you ever seen something like that happen where things go backwards? There are some people who are backwards. They're called professional politicians, but I'm talking about technology. It does not go backwards. So how on earth we don't know how to get to the moon after 60 years of knowing how to get to the moon, and we've hired them to go to the moon, or we've hired actually Musk. Bezos is just, he's just begging because he wants to be the bigger guy. He wants to be a big guy. Unbelievable. MasterCard. Now, here's an interesting one. This one looked like a Head and Shoulders last week. Looked like it broke up. Now it looks like it's breaking down. This is not a good sign. This is absolutely not a good sign. Visa, same thing. Look at that break at the end, at the very end of the thing. I mean, Visa basically is, this is so important because it's so correlated to how many retail transactions there are. Costco, here's a rocket ship for you. If you want to hire somebody to go to the moon, hire Costco, because this thing just goes up like crazy. I don't know why, but it does. Target too. Here's now the Shishi, the new Shishi Bloomingdale's. Bloomingdale's is gone. Long live Target. Long live, cheap goods. And Nordstrom's, here's a nice little Shishi retailer, rounded top. Doesn't look very good at all. And, oh, God, this boat is, wish I could have, can you steer this thing better? Oh, God, I don't feel too good. Anyway, this is Goldman Sachs. This thing never goes down. This thing's part of the government anyway. They have if anybody is buddy-buddy, it's Goldman Sachs and the government. You know, yeah, they'll find them occasionally. Oh, that'll cost you $5. And we have J.P. Morgan, rounded top. This is one of the big bellwethers. Banks are not looking that good. Nike. This is though Nike. How did that happen? I have no idea. Obviously, people just have to have their tennis shoes. They'll starve otherwise, but they have to have their tennis shoes. Walt Disney looks like it's about to break down. Major Dow component. This thing has been just hanging and hanging and hanging. And Square Inc. I want to talk about this company because they own Cash App. Cash App is a criminal enterprise. If you use it to transfer money, be prepared for Cash App to steal it from you. I have, and I'll read it next time, I have a letter from them telling me they won't give me the money that they owe me back because I broke the terms of service. They don't know what the terms of service even are or which one I broke, and that's that. They don't want to have an argument about it. So in other words, you did something wrong, we don't know what it is, but we'll take your money from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I call that a criminal enterprise, and let's bring in the organized crime unit of Law and Order SVU. I'll bet you Detective Stabler will get to the bottom of this pretty damn soon. Let's see. Real estate. People keep asking about it. This thing keeps going up. This is why the dollar going down is inevitable. Real estate going up, it's not in a bubble. It is just worth more because it is finite and the dollar is infinite. That's plain and simple. And then finally, Big Pharma. Look at that. Are they not loving every minute of this? Oh, we got a new jab. You gotta get like 4 of these. You gotta get a booster shot every year. You gotta combine 3 or 4 of them in a cocktail. We put it in our pot pie this evening. It was delicious. And it is just unbelievable that people don't see how much they take out of the economy that is not necessary. Much of Big Pharma's chemical concoctions are not good for you. As a matter of fact, a lot are not good for you. Some are necessary, there's no doubt. There's some very good medicine out there, but when they get away with it, when there's a crisis like this, Big Pharma, that's all they do. Anyway, I think we're at the end of the show, and I wanted to thank y'all for, oh, I want to thank y'all for being here today. If you please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Saturday.